Hello. My name is Duan. I'm the director of Mid-Valley Fellowship, and sitting here with Clay DeLuhosh, who's one of our supporters, he and his wife Donna. And this season we've been talking about this idea of the season of giving, that from our benefit dinner through the end of the year, that it's just a season to focus on that and on why we give and asking that question. And so I wanted to sit down with Clay and just talk with him a little bit about why he and Donna give and just kind of their experience. And so first of all, thanks for sitting down with me and having the conversation and talking about what your experience has been.
Yeah, you're welcome. Donna would be here, but she had something else going on. So
Sure. So talk to me a little bit about kind of bigger picture. We were talking, or kind of as you were writing out some things, you were talking about this bigger spiritual battle that we're in. So talk a little bit about that in a larger context.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where before I was a Christian, I didn't recognize it, but as a Christian, and the more we've read and studied and taught or been taught, we recognize that we are born into a battle. This is a spiritual battle that we fight, and I think in many ways that the reason this ministry exists is because of those spiritual battles that people fight. Mm-hmm. So because of that, we have a world full of addictions and abuse and things like that, that people wonder why, and if you don't have a sense of there's a spiritual battle going on out there, then it makes no sense why these things happen. And so knowing that we're in a war spiritually, that these things showing up is what else would you expect? And so
Sure.
And it affects all areas of our lives, through marriages, through relations that come out of that, and the problems that arise in marriages due to these things, a variety of things that can happen. And so I just think that being aware of those kind of things has softened my wife and I's heart towards that area, in a sense that we really can see a need for ministries like Mid-Valley to exist for the purpose of those people who really want to be healed, want to be whole again. There's a place for them to now go and seek counsel and help and support.
And so, and I totally, it makes sense what you're talking about, that spiritual battle. That we definitely see that here, of just, that from the garden, that there's this sort of process that began of sin affecting everything,
Right.
and
Right.
It's kind of cool thinking about this season of the year too, that with Christ coming, that was sort of the an advance on the enemy's territory of Christ coming to begin to break those things, that we don't have to live under that anymore. And, so that's powerful to think about, and just in the larger context of all of that, for sure.
I agree.
So talk to me a little bit about kind of how you interact with the idea of giving, and how that's the kind of things that you think about surrounding giving.
Well, giving is a real sensitive area for a lot of people, and it's an area that you until you are fully in on the fact that you know that everything you have is a gift from God. It's none of it's yours, none of it's ours to hold on to tightly and not let go. Am I holding on to my money and putting my faith in my money or my wealth or my material stuff, more than letting it go and recognizing it's all a gift from God? It's none of it you really own. We just think we do. And I would present it in any ministry, or anybody considering giving to a ministry, is that there's a risk, but God is faithful. And it's not like he's saying, okay, everything he might, I'm not saying he wouldn't say that, but everything you have, you got to give up, like the rich young ruler. Mm-hmm. I really believe if the rich young ruler had answered, oh, okay, Jesus would have said, you don't need to give it up. Your heart has changed, that kind of thing. But that's that whole idea of holding on to it, knowing I can't give it up. I want each person needs, and if their spouses too, need to pray about what can they give. Fully honest, I've never found where when I gave and I thought it was really a stretch, that I needed it. It's always seemed to work out. I've never had to, oh man, I wish I hadn't done that much, or. Yeah,
that's so good. There's a lot of good things in there. Just piece on generosity, on us really being attentive to, like, God, what is it you're asking of me as far as that goes, and we see that in scripture, like with the widow's mite, that she gave a small amount,
Right.
but it was so much.
It was all she had.
Yeah, it was all she had.
Yeah.
And so just that picture of generosity, and so that's good. And also just how that our heart, where our heart's at with money, that's going to can help guide whether we give or how much we give, or that.
And I really think that's the big piece, is where's our heart with money? Where's our security? Is it in God, or is it in my possessions? In the beginning, if a person's not used to that, it's kind of risky.
Sure.
Because God hasn't necessarily, they haven't asked God to show them yet. They haven't tested them. But He's faithful. That's the least of your concerns is He going to be faithful about that? But it's more about, is your heart right with my possessions, my time, my talents, things like that.
Yeah. So earlier in the season, kind of in this, as we've been talking about season of giving, I shared a little bit about kind of why I give, which is because I like how it changes my relationship with money. And that's kind of what you're talking about, is that it challenges me to remember and kind of say, okay, I know God's going to provide for me. And then seeing that and seeing how that plays out. So.
And these are times when it's really even harder, because some people aren't working because of what's happened with COVID, and so that's a huge piece of the puzzle in a sense. But again, that's why you have to use wisdom and trust God in your decisions, that He'll be there for you in the future when the needs are even greater, maybe. But it's not I think it's a fun thing in a way. It's fun to be able to do that. I mean, I really do.
Well, thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk, and it's great to hear kind of things that you're thinking about, things that God's been up to in you around giving, and just thank you for those challenges and just those reminders, and so it's been an awesome thing.
Well, it's my pleasure, really. I love doing this in a sense of, because I get to do it, not so much now, but when I was working in the financial business, I had opportunities to talk to my partners in the business about their giving and so forth. And so it's been a joy. It's taught me a lot as well. I learned from them as well. It's not like it's all one way. It's both ways. But yeah, you're welcome though.